Hey guys, how you doing? Scott Devine here for iBass magazine. This is our fourth, I think, can't really remember. Fourth video talking about how to get your walking bass lines together for jazz or whatever you want. You know, you can kind of incorporate walking bass lines into a lot of different kind of music. It doesn't just have to be jazz, so you know, I'm sure you can use these techniques I'm showing you in pop as well, or rock, especially the harmonic techniques I'm showing you. So in the last 3 lessons we've talked about how to get your walking feel together, how to walk 4 in a bar, the 2 feel, putting the thirds on the first beat of the bar, all that kind of stuff. And in this lesson I'm going to talk about chromatic notes, and this is really where the stereotypical walking bass line is kind of going to come to life, because it's that kind of, well, when I was a kid I used to think that a walking bass line was, which it isn't. It is and there is definitely chromatic elements in there, but I would say a good 75% of what I'm playing is just chord tones, which we've been working on in the last 3 lessons. Anyway, so chromatic notes. How can we get these into the walking bass lines? Well, first of all, I'm going to give you a really easy exercise. All I want you to play is root, root, 5th, and then just leave a gap, okay, for now, okay? On the chord sequence that we've been working on over the last few weeks, which is C minor, F7, B flat major 7, E flat major 7, A half diminished, D7, G minor, G7. Take a look at the past issues if you haven't already. So the first chord, I'm going to play root, root, 5th, and I'm just going to leave a gap, okay? I'm going to use my trusty metronome that I've got on my iPhone. I've just downloaded it for free, so hopefully it will work. Let's see. It was free, so it might be completely crap. I've got it. There we go. Let's turn the volume. So it's going to go like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to play root, root, 5th, gap, root, root, 5th, gap, or rest, root, root, 5th, rest. Okay, so round the chord sequence, 3, 4. Okay, so you get what I'm saying. You play a root, root, 1/5, and then just a rest for 1 beat. So what I want you to do with that rest is I want you to fill it with a note, and the note that I want you to fill it with is a chromatic note of the chord that we're going to. Okay, so say we were on C minor for the first bar. Okay, we're going to go root, root, 5th. Now the next chord is an F7. So all we're concentrating on to get this chromatic note, the right chromatic note, is that F7. So we play the C minor, root, root, 5th, and then for the chromatic note, I want you to play a chromatic note above the F, which is an F sharp, right? So, and then the F, and again. So now we're on the F, so we go root, root, 5th. We're going to the B flat major 7, that's the next chord. What will the chromatic note be? It'll be a semitone above the B flat. which is a B, okay? And then we're on the B flat major, root, root, fifth. We're going to an E flat major 7. What will the chromatic note be? It'll be a semitone above the E flat major 7, which is an E. Then we'll land on the E flat, and then we carry on like that, okay? So, slowly, root, root, fifth. Chromatic note above the next chord, root, root, fifth. Chromatic note above the next chord, root, root, fifth. Chromatic note above the next chord, root, root, fifth, okay? Bit faster. Starting to get that walking bass feel, okay? Now there is some problem chords. For instance, if we look at the A minor 7/2 diminished, if we play root, root, fifth, the next chord is a D7, we want to play a chromatic note above the D7 to fill in our rest. We're already on the E flat, which is a chromatic note above the D7, so we just play it again. Okay, so I'll just go twice round that sequence. So I'm going to play root, root, fifth, chromatic note above the next chord or root that we go into. 2, 3, 4. And onwards. So that was exercise 1. So that's filling the gap that we left, that rest, root, root, fifth, rest. That's filling that with the chromatic note above the next root of the chord. Exercise 2 will be exactly the same, but instead of playing the chromatic note above the next root, so C, C, so root, root, fifth, chromatic note above, we're going to play root, root, fifth, chromatic note below the next root. Then root, root, fifth, chromatic note below the next root. And on, and it'll sound like this. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, easy. So, exercise 3, we're going to stretch it a little bit further. We're going to bring the thirds into play. Now, just as I did with exercise 1, I want you to just play root, third, fifth, rest on each chord. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Root, third, fifth, rest. 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 Now, just as I did before, I'm going to fill the rest, that gap that we left in each bar, I'm going to fill it with a chromatic note, and that chromatic note will either be above or below the chord that we go into, or the root, the next root note that we go into. So for exercise 4, let's do the chromatic note above the next root. So we'll play root, third, fifth, chromatic note above the F. Same as before, it's the F sharp or G flat, and then root, third, fifth, that's the F7, root, third, fifth. The next note is, the next chord is B flat major 7, so we'll play the chromatic note above the B flat major 7, which is the B. Okay, so root on the top, root, third, fifth, chromatic, root, third, fifth, chromatic above, root, third, fifth, chromatic above, root, third, fifth. we go into on the E flat major 7. If we play root, 3rd, 5th, the 5th is actually the chromatic note above the A minor flat 5 anyway, so we just have to play another note on there. So root, 3rd, 5th, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th, 5th, and again. So let's hear that in action. We should start hearing it actually sound like a walking bass line. 1, 2, you know what to do. Now let's do the chromatic note below, just as we did in exercise 2. We played root, 5th, 5th, chromatic below. Now for exercise, what will it be? Exercise 4 or 5, or you know, look at the tablature and the music, it'll tell you which exercise we're on. But we're going to do the semitone below the next root, okay? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Below, below. So for exercise 5, I want you to try and put everything together that we've used over the last 4 exercises, should I say. And we're going to play roots and fifths and chromatic notes above and below, but that's all that I'm going to use. I'm going to demonstrate it now. That's all I'm going to use, nothing else. I'm going to use the metronome that's not working. There we go. And I'm going to play around it maybe 4 times, maybe a bit more if I get excited. And let's see what I come up with. This is just using the techniques that I've discussed in this last video. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe not that one. Yeah, you get it? I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Take it easy and get in the shed.